Hello from Blades Music. This video is about the Console 1 American Class A, or API, emulation. In this video, we're going to go through the Console 1 piece of that, the differences between the Console 1 and the VST version, something not that common to the Softube Console 1 plugins to have both a VST and a native Console 1 option. And then we're going to go through some audio examples on a drum kit with and without the Console 1 for a comparison. Here we go. Okay, so if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I'm a fan of the Console 1. I have not yet purchased the American Class A. I've got the original SSL 4000E and the British Class A, which is a Neewer emulation, but I haven't really had a chance to dig into the American Class A, and it seems like every time I do, it's not on sale. So I'm nearing the end of a demo of this thing, and that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So before we get into the details of exactly what this sounds like, I want to talk through what's included with the American Class A, and also the differences between the VST version and the Console 1 version. So I'm going to bring both of those up on the screen right now. So there's the Console 1 version. You can see right now I'm actually using the SSL 4000E on my vocal with a gate. And then over here, I don't have this enabled, but you can see that it's plugged into on the bus. So I've got the VST version of the American Class A, and then over here, let's go up to the drum track, right? So here we're on the kick channel instead, right? So we can see the American Class A in both places. So you can, of course, tell the layout is very similar, where you've got that left to right thing. It matches the hardware, which is one of the things that makes it so very easy to get used to and get into your workflow. So what is the big deal about the API? So a lot of these things, the SSL or the British Class A or some of the others, are actual models of the channel strips, the whole mixer. And of course, you can sub pieces and parts in, so you can mix and match the parts that you like from the different consoles. But the API itself is not actually a console. It's a modular system. Same goes here. So in this case, the shape section, which is this right here and here, the shape section is not emulating an actual API thing because there isn't any such thing. So they took the compressor section and kind of made up some stuff to do a gate and a sustain and a punch transient shaper in, I don't know, to make it sound as if there were such an API thing. The EQ section, which is the middle part here and here, is a 19-inch mastering grade EQ, and then in the compressor section is the console compressor API 550, I believe is what the emulation is on this. And then of course you've got your drive and drive character over to the right hand side that kind of emulates what it would sound like to drive those channels. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between the Console 1 version of that and the VST version. I'm not going to dig real deep into this. I don't want to, talk endlessly. Right, so kind of a few of the differences. On the VST, you can see that this is very much like the original, where you've got your stepped frequencies and your stepped gains, and then that's 4 bands, and top and bottom bands, you can do the peak, you can do a shelf, or you can do a cut. Now, something that they've added in the VST version here is this gain multiplier. So you can see your gain is 0, 2, 4, 6, 9, and 12. The times 1 is what those values are. Now, if you put that down to the times 0.5, then the +2 is actually +1, the +4 is actually +2. You get the story on that, and then use your math. 0.25 is going to make your your +2, 0.5, your +4, 1, etc. So you can use those to make the gains more granular, which I guess is more to the mastering grade quality of this, where you're not doing big old boosts and cuts, you're doing smaller ones. Now, if you look over here on this EQ, I have it in what they call equalizer extended version. And anything that you do on the console one, you can always go into the shift EQ or a comp or whatever, and you can see here I have the choice of the American Class A extended or the original. If I do the original, it's like this. If I do the extended, then we get not only the changes here. So I've got this low gain at 6 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and take that down to 0. So you can see in extended mode, I go to 0.5, right? So this is like the 0.25 mode, +2 divided by 4. And then I go to 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. And then when I get up to 3, it goes 3, 4, 5. Then I get to 6, and we change there from 6 to 9 to 12. So the way that works is a little bit different. It's kind of like a hybrid of the 1, the 0.5, and the 0.25, just dependent upon where in that spectrum you are. The other thing that's different in this, and this is something that doesn't even exist in the VST version, is you can see these two middle bands have a Q that has been added to them. That doesn't exist on the VST. So those are differences between the EQ on Console 1 and the EQ on the VST version of the same plugin, right? Why they didn't make these the same, I'm not sure. And then on the compressor side, we have a difference as well. Now, this is one where I think that the VST version wins a little bit because you've got these two buttons over here for the hard knee and the new type. And so you can toggle them independently of each other. Why does this matter is because, so the hard knee versus soft knee, you can see that a lot easier if we make a super high ratio like this, right? And we pull that threshold. So hard knee, soft knee. I think you can visually see what that is. It's just how harshly does the compressor act at the time that it's finally triggered. The other difference is the new type versus old type. So new type is what they're calling feed forward, which is smooth and predictable. Those are the words out of the manual. And then the old style, with that turned off, is feed back. And it's a little punchier and a little less predictable. You can independently turn hard knee, soft knee, and old new off and on the VST version. On the Console 1 version, just like we could change out which EQ we're going to use, if I were to hit the compressor section, you can see I can choose between the punchy and the smooth compressor. Punchy and smooth are effectively the same thing as old is punchy, smooth is new, but they've also kind of combined in there that hard knee, soft knee. So if you're using the smooth, you're getting the soft knee, and if you're using the punchy, you're getting the hard knee. So it's kind of like a hybrid of both of those functions at the same time. So what I've done in the case of this particular example is I've left everything at smooth, which is the soft knee and the feed forward new design, and I did that across all of the channels. I didn't change any of that up. Aside from that, they're very similar plugins. So now we're going to get rid of this guy off the screen, and I'm going to make the actual Console 1 a little bigger, and I'm going to turn this on and off. So we're going to take it out for right now. So here we're going to get into the audio examples, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what we've got going on the tracks. So you can see on the top half here, I've got one set of audio tracks for all of the drums, and then down here in purple, I've got another set. This is literally a copy of those exact same audio tracks. I've got them routed to two buses, bus 1, bus 2. And on the purple ones, I've applied no effects at all. This is just the raw drum recording as it came off of my Pearl Mimic Pro. And on the blue ones, I have done the Console 1 with the American Class A across the entire thing, including the drum bus. No other effects except there's a reverb on the snare in both cases, and that reverb is affected with the Console 1 in case 1 and without the Console 1 in case 2. So let's take a quick look at a couple of the tracks just independently so you can kind of see what they're doing, right? So if we go to the kick track, this is the one we were looking at. You can see I've done a boost on the low end there at a gain of 6 dB, which is pretty significant, at 40 hertz in peak mode. And then I've given a little bit on the high mid at 3K for 3 dB. Again, peak mode with a pretty high Q on that. So it's fairly sharp, brings out a little bit of the high beater tone. On the snare, you can see I took out the bottom. I cut a tiny bit of ringiness out of this section here at about 1. And then I boosted a little bit on the top to brighten the whole thing up. And I stuck a compressor on there as well. You can see I compressed the kick drum 4.3 to 1. Relatively fast attack, super fast release. Same kind of a thing there. I've got a 3 to 1 on the snare. And then let's see, I didn't do anything to the toms. On the hi-hat, I've just boosted up the top a little bit. Know that I've also got overheads. So I said the same thing. I did a little boost right there. That's peak mode on the hi-hat and shelf mode there on the ride. And then for the overheads, I left them flat, except I took the bottom end out, which is pulling some of the kick out of the overhead sound. And then on the room mics, I wanted to brighten that whole thing up. So I really boosted up that 5K signal, 12 dB. Again, a pretty big boost. Now you'll also notice on every one of these tracks, I've done something with the drive, somewhere around 5, but the character has been changed. The kick, character up the middle, the snare, character high end. So I get a little bit more brightness out of the character on that. Same thing there on the hi-hat and the ride. The overheads, nothing, little bit of drive there. The room mics. On the shaker, I didn't do anything at all. And on the drum bus, you can see I drove it a little harder, straight up the middle. And I did some parallel compression on this. So I did a 4.1, fairly aggressive on the threshold, and I did a 50-50 parallel. So we've got 50% original signal and then 50% compressed signal. So now what I want you to hear is the difference. I'm not going to bore you with going through every single track through the whole thing, but I do want to show you a little bit of each of these things. So I'm going to clear my solos, and I'm going to go, and we're going to go just to the kick channel, so you can hear it, and I'm going to bring the Console 1 in and out of the kick here. So here we go with that. So you can see that's just got a little bit more body. We'll go to the snare here real quick. That's with. That's without. So you get the idea of kind of what I've done here. Now, I didn't just level match that, so there's probably some level differences. But what I did do is for comparing the whole mix, I tried to level match the two buses together so that they're give or take the same volume level, so you can actually judge it based not on the level, but on what it sounds like. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start at the very beginning of this, and we're going to listen to them alternating back and forth between no Console 1, purple, and Console 1 American Class A across all the channels, blue. Starting at the beginning of this, here we go. No effects first. All right, I think that's a pretty big difference between nothing and everything. And of course, that's, I mean, we're comparing completely unmixed to mixed. But this is just the console 1 and 1 reverb on the snare. And that's it. I hope this video has been useful to you. I hope you will like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. I will continue to do videos like this as I have the opportunity to do them. And I hope that they're valuable to you in either making purchasing decisions or purchasing non-decisions for what makes sense for you. Me, I'm a fan of the Console 1, and every time I get one of these emulations, I try to check it out a little bit more in depth. On the American Class A, I think as soon as this one goes on sale, I'll be picking it up because I think it adds another special sound to the arsenal. Again, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Have a great one.